Hobbs has Dom and Brian reassemble their crew in order to take down a mastermind who controls an organization of mercenary drivers across 12 countries. Their payment? Full pardons for all. Hold on! This is Fast and Furious 6!
Last week, a team of highly coordinated drivers took down a military convoy. This most recent job graduated them to a whole new level. You're gonna help me catch the team responsible.
Why is that, Hobbs?
This was taken a week ago.
He's messing with your head. Letty's dead, though.
I need to know for sure.
Then I'm going with you.
I have not seen all of the Fast and Furious movies. I saw the first one when it came out. I was like 10 years old, so I don't remember it at all. And I just always assumed they weren't really movies for me. They never looked like something I was interested in. But I heard such good things about Fast 5 that when Fast and Furious 6 was announced, people were really excited about it. And I was really just wondering, what the heck does this mean? Why is everyone excited for this movie? It just looks like another Fast and Furious movie. I was considering going back and watching all of the movies, but it felt very daunting because there are 5 movies to go back and watch. So I opted to go into Fast and Furious 6 blind, if you will, and I decided to not watch the other movies because I figured, hey, it's an experiment. Let's see if it works on its own. Let's see if I can pick up what's going on and see who these characters are without seeing the other movies. And I have to say, I'm glad I did that because I actually think this movie did a pretty good job of getting you up to speed. In the opening credits, there's kind of a recap of the last few movies, and also just in the dialogue, they sort of hint toward things that happened in the past, and they made it really clear what was going on, so I have to say kudos to them for that, because I did not feel like I was missing anything at all, save for one character who I guess gets punched in the nose a lot in these movies. I don't know. But like I said, I heard a lot of good things about Fast 5, and so I was really curious if Fast and Furious 6 would be cool. And I have to say, I thought it was pretty cool. I didn't think it was incredible, but there was some really, truly incredible action in the movie, some incredible chase scenes. Unfortunately, it's a bit too long, so there's also a lot of crap that could have been cut out, but man, when it comes to the chase scenes, some of the best stuff I've ever seen, honestly. I was on the edge of my seat, my heart in my throat, it was insane. But let's get a little more into Fast and Furious 6, starting off with the plot, which is very simple, and I actually, like I said, I got into it, I understood what was going on even without seeing the other movies, and I have to say there are obviously goofy elements to the whole movie, the writing being one of them, the dialogue is a little bit goofy, the acting is goofy, I'll get to that, but all of it is goofy in sort of a lovable way. It's not in an obnoxious way, so I wasn't irritated by it. I was actually kind of charmed by it, in a very weird way. It's kind of hard to explain because I certainly wouldn't have expected that, but maybe it's mostly in the acting, they make it that way, but it definitely was nothing that was driving me crazy, and maybe it's also because it's a Fast and Furious movie, I wasn't expecting any Oscar caliber writing or anything like that. I really didn't care as much about the story, I was really definitely just invested in the action, and I think there was a little bit too much story. I wish there was a lot more action because I was expecting it to be non-stop action, and like I said, it was just too long. There was too much stuff in between the action that I think could have been cut out because I definitely felt like I was getting a little bit bored in between the action scenes. But speaking of the action scenes, let's get into the directing. Oh boy, the movie is very well directed, even when it's stuff that I think could have been cut out. It all looked great, it all felt great, it definitely felt like a very well put together movie. But nothing is better than the action scenes, the chase scenes, the fighting scenes too, but mostly the car scenes. Not only are they very, very exciting and just very visceral and intense and immersive, but they're very well shot, because a lot of times in movies, you know, you got an action scene or a chase scene, and they just shake the camera all over the place to make it look crazier than it is. In this movie, I was totally focused on the action. I didn't feel like I was confused at any point, like, oh, the camera's shaking, where the hell are we? I could totally pay attention to what was going on, and they were very confident about that because the camera showed you everything you needed to see. It definitely didn't try to trick you by having any, you know, close-ups that obscured the action. It was very, very genuine and awesome action. That being said, I thought the two best chase scenes, the two best action scenes were at the beginning and the end. They bookended the movie. The rest of them were good, but not as good as the beginning or the end. Of course, the beginning being that very first chase scene with the car that's got the pointed front, it's flipping everybody over, and then the ending with the plane. Man, it was just insane. And acting-wise, I'm not going to go into any specifics because I think everyone was kind of on the same level, but let's just say nobody's going to see Fast and Furious 6 for the acting. are they? I thought the acting was fine for what the movie is worth. It never felt obnoxious because, like I said, they were able to almost pull off the goofy acting and the goofy writing and anything goofy in the movie in a lovable way rather than in kind of an obnoxious way, and I don't know if that's in the directing. So overall, again, I didn't think it was anything incredible, but I thought it was pretty cool. I had a good time with it while I was watching it. The action scenes were really, really amazing, really well done, and they made up for the stuff that I wasn't really interested in. So overall, I had a good time with Fast and Furious 6. Now I'm going to talk about one spoiler. It is in the mid-credits scene, so if you have not seen Fast and Furious 6, stop watching this review now, go see Fast and Furious 6 if you'd like to, and then you can come back and see what I had to say because it spoils something that happens at the end. You don't want to know what happens. But all I want to say is, I don't know the series, obviously, and so I didn't know if he was a part of it and he was returning, but I looked it up and it turns out that he's not. He is new to the franchise, and he's joining for Fast and Furious 7, Jason Statham. Now, this is funny because they literally assume that you know who Jason Statham is, and that's the whole point of it, because he's not in the series up to that point, so it's not like you're seeing a character you've seen before. And so I thought that scene was cool just because I do know Jason Statham, and I'm sure he will fit in perfectly with the Fast and Furious franchise in Fast and Furious 7. My God, there's a lot of movies. And I would check it out because I did have a good time, like I said, so I'm looking forward to seeing Jason Statham drive cars real fast and real furious. But let me know in the comments what you thought of Fast and Furious 6. Have you watched all the other movies, and do you think that maybe if I had watched all the other movies, I wouldn't have thought it was too long? Did you think that all of the dialogue and all the times where there's not a whole lot going on were exciting because you know the characters and you love the characters? Let me know if you only watched Fast and Furious 6, or maybe you only watched Fast 5, because I think that was one that people kind of jumped on. It seemed to do very, very well. Let me know what you thought of the action. Let me know what you thought of the acting. Let me know anything that you want about Fast and Furious 6. And that's pretty much it.